Govardhan ki, Maharaj ki, Govardhan Puja ki jai, Go Premanandi, Hari Bol. All gloriously assembled devotees, all glorious in Sri Guru Janananda, all glorious in Sri Prabhupada, Hari Bol. So, I don't know if that would be something like the offerings we'll have today for Govardhan Puja.
Donc Maharaj dit, il ne sait pas si ça sera à peu près comme ça, les offrandes aujourd'hui pour le Govardhan Puja.
There's more than 1,000 offerings there.
Il y en a plus de 1000.
This was during the Anukut ceremony on Govardhan Puja many years ago.
C'était dans la cérémonie d'Anakuta, il y a de nombreuses
The
années.
spot of Anukut, but rather Nath Maharaj's parikrama, this was the offering.
Pendant le parikrama conduit par Shirabhanath Maharaj.
So we may not be able to have quite that many offerings, but we hope there are lots of offerings today for the pleasure of Govardhan.
Même si on n'en a pas assez, on espère qu'il y aura beaucoup d'offrandes aujourd'hui pour le plaisir de Giriraj.
And of course it would be, we can remember Govardhan sometimes even more when we're in separation, but how nice it is to be at Govardhan on this occasion.
Donc on peut se souvenir bien sûr en séparation de Govardhan, mais on peut imaginer à quel point c'est merveilleux d'y être aujourd'hui pour cette occasion.
In the short time which we have, we'll try to speak a few words about the glories of Govardhan Hill, Giriraj Maharaj.
Et dans le peu de temps qu'on a, on va essayer de dire quelques gloires de la colline Govardhan.
The glories of the Anukut ceremony,
Les gloires de la cérémonie Anakuta
and all the other glories related to this glorious pastime.
et toutes les gloires reliées à ce divertissement glorieux.
We were just discussing just now how, well, first of all, the pujaris are probably not here, at least not all of them, some of them, but how beautiful the altar is today is incredible. The daily outfits, the Indra's clouds, everything is there, the rain coming down in the form of, I guess, the lights, like thunder, lightning coming down from the sky, etc.
Donc les pujaris sont peut-être pas là dans la pièce, mais c'est vraiment des vraiment merveilleux vêtements, merveilleux backdrop, la colline là-haut avec les
like down to the pumpkins, everything's fantastic.
avec même les citrouilles.
They're hailstones, by the way, if you don't know. They're orange hailstones. They're brahmacharis. A brahmachari hailstone.
En fait, c'est de la grêle brahmachari, les petits
crashing down on Vrindavan, or what they think is crashing down on Vrindavan.
qui s'écrasent, on pense, sur Vrindavan.
One of the unique things about one of them, unlimited, unique aspects, but one of them is that personalities like Indra cannot touch Vrindavan.
Un des aspects uniques de ce divertissement, c'est que Indra ne peut pas toucher Vrindavan.
But for the sake of pastimes, for fun, Krishna makes it look like he can.
Mais pour le divertissement, pour s'amuser, Krishna donne l'impression qu'il peut le faire.
Same with Lord Brahma trying to steal the cow boys, he cannot steal the cow boys, he can't.
La même chose avec Brahma, il ne peut pas vraiment voler les pâtres et les
It
œufs.
just appears like that.
Ça semble qu'il le fait.
So we'll begin with some pranams, and we can chant all together. All together?
On va
Are you
chanter
ready?
tous ensemble ces hommages.
Namo Vrindavanakaya Tuvyam Golokamoline Ponaramata Pantraya Namo Govardhanaya Cha. Obeisances to you, who are Goloka's crown, and the land where Vrindavan forest grows. Obeisances to Govardhan Hill, the supreme personality of Godhead parasol.
Hommage à toi qui est la couronne de Goloka et qui représente les genoux sur lesquels poussent les forêts de Vrindavan. Hommage à la colline Govardhan, le parasol de Dieu la personne suprême.
Is that the French word for umbrella? Parasol?
Parasolmencia, umbrella.
Is it a French word?
Yeah.
It is, okay, so it comes directly from French. It's a rare word used in English.
Actually, we have two words in French. Parapluie, it's against the rain, and parasol, it's against the sun. So maybe it should be parapluie.
Got to be against something. There's another name for against something.
It's a Latin word.
It's a Latin word, is it? Oh, yeah. Latin scholar. Okay. Well, parasol is very rarely used in English. We use umbrella. All together. Namaste Girirajaya Sri Govardhana Namine Ashesha Klesha Ashraya Paramananda Daine. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the King of all hills, Govardhana Hill, the source of enjoyment for the senses, land and cows. He is a servant of Krishna and is Krishna himself. Very interesting topic that. He puts an end to unlimited suffering and bestows the supreme bliss.
J'offre mon hommage respectueux au roi de toutes les montagnes, la colline Govardhana, la source de plaisir pour les sens, pour la terre et les vaches. Il est le serviteur de Krishna, il est Krishna lui-même, et il met fin à des nombres illimités de souffrances et nous donne la bénédiction de la félicité suprême.
And now, Sri Govardhana Pranam mantras. These two are generally known. The first two also, these two particularly. Govardhana Jayati Shaila Katadi Rajo Yogo Ikabir Ito Aridasavaya Srinena Shakra Panga Vikajitoya Saptahamasya Karapadma Dale Devapsit. All glories to Govardhana, the emperor of lordly mountains. The Lord's dear gopis called him the best servant of Hari, Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna disrupted the sacrifice for worship of Indra to worship Govardhana instead. And then the hill resided for a week on the Lord's lotus tower.
Toute gloire à Govardhana, l'empereur de toutes les montagnes. Il est le seigneur des chers gopis. Les chers gopis du Seigneur l'appellent le plus grand des serviteurs de Hari, Shri Krishna. Le Seigneur Krishna a dérangé le sacrifice pour adorer Indra afin d'adorer la colline Govardhana à la place. Et puis, elle a résidé pendant une semaine sur la paume pareille lotus du Seigneur.
And this is another, you could say, one of those questions where there appears to be some different statements. Here it says, on his lotus helm, which means left, helm of left hand.
Ici, c'est un sujet encore un peu de controverse. Ici, il est dit que c'est la colline a reposé sur la paume de sa main.
And other places you see with the little finger, the left hand.
Autre part, on dit sur le petit doigt de la main gauche.
In Harivamsa Purana, in the Mahabharata, Srimad Bhagavatam actually also it says that.
Dans le Harivamsa, dans le Srimad Bhagavatam, le Mahabharata, il est dit également que c'est sur la paume de la main.
Other places you see it's stated little finger.
Et dans d'autres endroits, il est dit sur le petit doigt de la main gauche.
Krishna can do anything he likes.
Krishna peut faire ce qu'il veut.
Some say he picked it up with his hand, lifted it with his, held it on his finger.
Certains disent qu'il a soulevé avec sa main et qu'il l'a pris ensuite sur son petit doigt.
But either way, it's quite a remarkable pastime.
Mais d'une façon ou d'une autre, c'est un divertissement remarquable.
It has many deep connotations.
Il y a beaucoup d'aspects très profonds.
And especially for us.
Spécialement pour nous.
We were discussing a little this morning how, you know, of course it's all related, our karma, the hand of the demigods.
Tout est connecté, notre karma, la main des devas.
This pastime also relates karma with the demigods.
Dans ce divertissement aussi, on parle du karma en relation avec les devas.
By various arrangements of the demigods, we get happiness and experience happiness and distress.
Comment par différents arrangements des demi-dieux, on obtient du bonheur, du malheur.
Demigods are also sometimes tempting or testing the devotees.
Parfois, les devas, ils tentent les dévots aussi.
trying to say destroy, but to seemingly put obstructions in our path.
Parfois, on dirait même qu'ils mettent des obstacles sur leur chemin.
So similarly here, in this pastime of Govardhana Puja, certainly the demigods were, at least Indra, not the demigods, in this case Indra, was very much, you could say, trying to harass the devotional service of the devotees.
Et dans ce divertissement, spécialement Indra, vraiment a essayé d'harasser les dévots dans l'accomplissement de leur service de dévotion.
So in the same way, if we take shelter as the residents of Vrindavan took shelter under Govardhana Hill,
Et donc, si on prend refuge comme les habitants de Vrindavan sous la colline Govardhana,
we also have to take shelter of Govardhana Hill.
on doit, comme eux, prendre refuge de la colline Govardhana.
Protect us of the deluge of material, attractions,
Qui va nous protéger du déluge des attirances matérielles,
the material objects, the distractions, the disturbances.
des objets matériels, des distractions matérielles.
We cannot possibly, we cannot possibly fight against the material energy on our own.
Il n'est pas possible pour nous de vaincre l'énergie matérielle par nous-mêmes.
The only hope is to take shelter of Krishna, or in this case, Govardhana.
On peut juste se concentrer sur prendre refuge en Krishna ou dans ce cas de Govardhana.
So is he Krishna or is he a devotee of Krishna?
Est-ce qu'il est Krishna ou est-ce qu'il est un dévot de Krishna?
Which is it?
Lequel des deux?
Both. Okay, good answer.
Les deux. Bonne réponse.
He is Krishna,
Il est Krishna.
but why can't Krishna serve himself?
Pourquoi
We
Krishna,
like to serve ourselves.
pourquoi Krishna ne pourrait pas se servir lui-même? Nous, on aime bien se servir nous-mêmes aussi.
Yeah. They often say the best, like cooking, for instance. Cooking. Who's the best cook?
Qui est le meilleur cuisinier? Mathieu Adam.
Huh? I don't mean in terms of absoluteness, I mean in terms of our own experience.
Qui est le meilleur cuisinier?
Someone who likes to eat.
Huh?
Someone who likes to eat.
Oh.
That's it, huh?
Someone who likes to eat sweets. Who likes to eat.
Who likes to what?
To take prasad, they are the best cook, the person who.
Well, yeah, we're talking we're talking here in a kind of a general terminology. I'm talking of a specific one. I'm talking about, as far as I'm concerned.
En ce qui me concerne, Maharaj c'est
They say
le
this.
meilleur cuisinier.
This is actually, I don't know where it comes from, Bengal or somewhere. I don't
Ça
know
vient
where.
du Bengale.
The best cook is not the wife.
La meilleure cuisinier, c'est pas l'épouse.
Usually we hear it's the mother.
En
But if you know
général,
how
c'est
to
la
cook,
mère.
the best cook is yourself.
Mais en général, le meilleur cuisinier,
You
c'est
know what you
soi-même.
want.
On sait ce qu'on veut.
If you know how to cook, you've got to learn how to cook.
Bien sûr, vous devez apprendre à cuisiner.
In this way, Krishna, because Radharani is the best servant. You all know that in one sense. But in another sense, Krishna is showing here, he's the best of the servants also, the best of the Vaishnavas.
Bien sûr, on sait
Like
que
to serve.
Shimati,
Giving protection to all the devotees.
on sait que Shimati Radharani est la meilleure cuisinière, mais Krishna, dans un sens, c'est lui le meilleur serviteur de lui-même et il donne protection à tous les dévots.
We may think we've got a few challenges,
On peut penser qu'on a certains défis.
but look what happened here.
Regardez ce qui s'est passé là.
Imagine being in that situation.
Imaginez être dans cette situation.
The rain was coming down like columns. It wasn't just like drizzle. It was columns.
C'était pas juste un embrun, c'était des piliers, les trompes d'eau.
Even heavier than the shower that used to have in the basement here. Even heavier than that.
Encore plus fort que
And
les
constant.
qu'il y avait dans le sous-sol avant.
And I see we're having an Arctic feast today.
Arctic feast.
Arctic, I mean, it's a frozen feast, isn't it?
On va avoir un festin glacé aujourd'hui.
It was written on the notice board, Arctic feast.
Oh, c'était marqué sur le
Frozen
tableau.
samosas,
Festin
frozen rice.
d'Arctique. Festin d'Arctique.
I hope not. But yeah, it was literally almost frozen. There were hailstones. They weren't little ones. They were like footballs.
Mais c'était véritablement un déluge avec des grêlons gros comme des ballons de football.
The wind, if you think the hurricanes of this world is something, you can imagine the power. They were the most powerful winds in the universe.
Si vous pensez que les cyclones de ce monde sont puissants, là c'était les cyclones, les vents les plus puissants de l'univers.
They were put into a pretty difficult position.
C'était vraiment, ils étaient mis dans une situation vraiment difficile.
But because they took shelter of Krishna, even that they were protected from.
Mais parce qu'ils ont pris refuge de Krishna, ils étaient protégés même de cela.
They took shelter under, eventually, of course, Govardhana hill.
Bien sûr, ils ont pris refuge
So
sous la colline
Krishna
de
that way
Govardhana.
likes to protect his devotees. And who can do that? The whole of Vrindavan is protected.
Krishna aime protéger ses dévots et qui d'autre que lui peut protéger tout Vrindavan.
Saptaham Mevatrutta Hasta Pankaje Ringayamanam Valamula Kandarai Samseyamanam Matavi Govardhana Drinshyasamami. I offer my prostrated obeisances to the Govardhana hill, who was kept for 7 days in the lotus hand, on the lotus hand, of the infallible Lord Sri Krishna, and who served him with his own paraphernalia, including swarms of black bees and an abundance of delicious fruits and roots.
J'offre mon hommage prostré à la colline Govardhana qui fut gardée 7 jours sur la main, pareil lotus, du Seigneur infaillible Sri Krishna, et qui l'a servi avec toute sa paraphernalia, incluant des volées d'abeilles, des essaims d'abeilles, une abondance de fruits délicieux et de racines.
You can imagine a mountain. Many of you have been to Vrindavan, you've probably almost certainly been to Govardhana Hill.
Vous pouvez imaginer une montagne, bien sûr la plupart d'entre vous sont allés à Vrindavan, sûrement à Govardhana.
The mountain was a bit bigger in those days.
Elle était beaucoup plus grosse à
I
l'époque.
mean, even now, if you look at it, to lift up that hill nowadays would be not very easy.
Même la soulever comme elle est aujourd'hui serait pas
With all the
facile.
cranes and strong men in the world, you still have a difficult challenge.
Même avec les hommes les plus forts de l'univers, ils auraient du mal.
Govardhana Hill was a bit bigger, you know. I mean, how big? I don't know.
105 kilometers long, I think 70 kilometers wide, and 29 kilometers high.
Okay, there we got latest measurements. Quite big. 29 kilometers. How many meters is that? 2,900. What is it?
29,000.
29,000 meters high. Now that's more than 3 times higher than Everest.
29 000 mètres de haut, c'est plus de 3 fois le mont Everest.
Now that's his normal size.
Le mont Everest, c'est la taille normale.
When he manifests, you could say, on the Boma.
Non, ça c'est la taille normale quand il se manifeste sur la
But when Indra came, Govardhana expanded.
Mais quand Indra est descendu,
Much bigger than that.
Govardhana est devenu beaucoup plus grand que ça.
So high, he rose them. The storms, the Sambantarka clouds sent by Indra. They're the clouds of destruction.
Les nuages Sambartaka sont les nuages de la destruction.
At the time of destruction. They're so big, they're so high, and almost unimaginable. They're so powerful, these clouds. The Govardhana rose above those clouds.
Ils sont tellement gigantesques,
How big they were, Govardhana went above them.
Tellement puissants, tellement gigantesques qu'on ne peut pas imaginer, et Govardhana, elle a grandi encore au-dessus de ces nuages.
And how big was Govardhana to accommodate the billions and billions of calves and cows that were residing in Vrindavan.
Et imaginez, elle pouvait protéger tous les milliards et les milliards de veaux et de vaches de Vrindavan.
How many cows do you have in the Goshala?
Combien de vaches on a ici au Goshala?
5.
5.
Imagine having billions and billions of cows and calves, giving trillions of gallons or liters of water of milk every day.
Imaginez avoir des milliards de vaches qui donnent des trillions de...
We need a few more cowgirls and cowboys.
On a besoin de plus de pâtres et de vachères.
It said that even the cow, I mean, we hear that Nanda Maharaj had 900,000 cows in his herd. Huh?
Dans Maharaja, on entend qu'il avait 900 000 vaches.
And it described in Gopal Champa, I believe, that the calves and the cow boys, they had like hundreds of thousands of cows each for their protection.
Et les pâtres, ils avaient des centaines de milliers de vaches chacun. C'est inconcevable.
Pastime is like absolutely inconceivable. Even when they went under the hill of Govardhana, you imagine going under a mountain. No, usually you may go into a cave in a mountain, right? What does it look like?
Vous pouvez imaginer aller dans une caverne, dans une montagne, à quoi ça ressemble?
Even you go in the cave over the hill there in Shantipur, what does it look like?
Si vous allez dans la cave à Shantipur, ça ressemble à quoi?
Still, it's dark and damp and
c'est humide, sombre.
Imagine being stuck there with an incredible mountain on top of you for 7 days.
Imaginez, vous êtes dans une caverne comme ça avec une montagne énorme au-dessus de vous pendant 7 jours.
A storm, an inconceivable, powerful storm going on outside.
Et une terrible tempête.
How would you feel?
Comment vous vous sentirez?
Did they have electric lights down there or something? Or they all had the mobile phones or something? It must have been pretty dark.
S'il y avait des ampoules électriques, s'il y avait leur portable, il devait faire sombre.
Dripping,
Avec l'eau qui coule, l'humidité qui tombe.
Cold.
Froid.
Was that how it was?
Est-ce que c'était comme ça?
They had Krishna.
Krishna was there, yeah, that was the key. Krishna was there, but he's self-unfortunate. So everything was arranged there. It was more opulent than you can imagine.
Krishna était là, bien sûr, mais il y avait une opulence que vous ne pouvez même pas imaginer.
In some places it's described actually it was like under the hill there was like this special cavern, like a hole going down, and inside there was a whole spiritual realm, and they're all just enjoying themselves down there like anything. It's like undescribable, unimaginable by our experience. Everything, jewelry, gold, sparkling, everything's so beautiful.
En fait,
trees, everything's there, birds, everything's there.
Sous cette colline, il y avait comme un royaume spirituel avec des bijoux, des joyaux partout, des oiseaux, et une drape continuée.
And they're all down there, and the great feast. In fact, this is another secret. You can find this in Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto also. A secret of Krishna consciousness.
Un des secrets que vous pouvez trouver aussi décrit dans le deuxième chant de Srimad Bhagavatam.
Where Prabhupada describes it, because Parikshit Maharaj, when he was hearing these pastimes, Bhagavatam, he was, as you know, he was fasting for 7 days and nights.
Quand Maharaj Parikshit jeûnait pour écouter le Bhagavatam pendant 7 jours et 7 nuits, la journée.
Like, our usual fast, our Ramadan or something, where you fast all day and you feast all night.
Comme le Ramadan, par contre, on jeûne toute la journée et on fait un festin toute la nuit.
We're just waiting for the breakfast.
On attend de rompre le jeûne.
Today, I don't know, it's not a fast day today, is it?
No.
C'est pas un jour de jeûne aujourd'hui.
So, Prabhupada describes how Parikshit Maharaj he wasn't thinking about it. Eating and sleeping, he wasn't thinking about it.
Maharaj Parikshit, il ne pensait même pas à dormir ni manger.
Just hearing and chanting.
Juste écouter, chanter.
He was so absorbed in hearing and chanting, he just didn't think about eating, sleeping.
Il était tellement absorbé à écouter, il ne pensait pas même à boire.
Not even a drop of water.
Même pas une goutte d'eau.
The same thing in the Govardhana.
C'est la même chose dans le Lila de
They were
Govardhana.
so absorbed in this case, they had all their desires, in one sense, unending desires, but they had their desires fulfilled by being with Krishna 24 hours a day.
En fait, tous leurs désirs furent comblés car ils pouvaient rester avec Krishna 24 heures par jour.
Everyone see, no matter who they were, and there were countless devotees in various forms, seeing Krishna right in front of them.
Peu importe qui ils étaient, il y en avait un nombre illimité de dévots dans différentes formes, ils pouvaient tous voir Krishna en face d'eux, face à face.
Krishna reciprocating with his devotees.
Krishna
Many times
dans de nombreux divertissements avec ses dévots.
They were, and here we see how Govardhana Hill, who was Krishna himself, but in the mood of a devotee, is arranging all kinds of beautiful provision of fruits and roots. Bees are buzzing around.
Ici,
They don't bite, by the way.
il est décrit comment
Sting.
la colline Govardhana, qui est Krishna, en fait, a fait tellement d'arrangements de fruits, de fleurs, des abeilles qui piquent pas.
And a beautiful verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Hantayam Madhira Bala Haridasa Varyo Yat Rama Krishna Charanas Parasha Pramoda Manam Kanaki Sago Ganaya Sayoya Paniya Surasa Kunda Hulai. Of all the devotees, this Govardhana hill is the best. O friends, for Krishna and Balaram, along with their cows and cowherd friends, this hill supplies all necessities. Caves, fruits, flowers, vegetables, water for drinking, and very soft grass. In this way the hill offers respects to the Lord. Being touched by the lotus feet of Krishna and Balaram, Govardhana hill appears very jubilant.
De tous les dévots, cette colline Govardhana est le meilleur. Oh mes amis, pour Krishna et Balaram, ainsi que pour leurs veaux, leurs vaches et pour leurs amis les pâtres, cette colline fournit toute nécessité, des cavernes, des fruits, des fleurs, des légumes, de l'eau à boire, de l'herbe tendre. Ainsi, cette colline offre ses hommages au Seigneur. Étant touché par les pieds pareils au lotus de Krishna et Balaram, Govardhana apparaît plein de jubilation.
We're going to jump over because of time. Commentary. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains the opulence of Govardhana hill as follows. Paniya refers to the fragrant, cool water from the Govardhana waterfalls, which Krishna and Balaram drink and use to wash their feet and mouths.
Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explique l'opulence de la colline Govardhana comme suit. Panya se réfère à l'eau douce et parfumée des chutes d'eau de Govardhana que Krishna et Balaram avaient l'habitude d'utiliser pour boire et pour laver leurs pieds et leurs mains.
Govardhana also offers other beverages such as honey, mango juice and pilu juice.
Govardhana offre également différentes boissons comme du miel, du jus de mangue, du jus de pilu.
Suya Vasa indicates durva grass used to make the religious offerings of Arya.
Suyavas indique l'herbe durva qui était utilisée pour les offrandes religieuses d'Arya.
Govardhana also has grass that is fragrant, soft, and conducive to the strong growth of cows and increased production of milk.
Govardhana aussi donne de l'herbe parfumée et tendre qui est favorable pour augmenter pour les vaches et pour accroître la production de lait.
Thus, this grass is used for feeding the transcendental herds.
Ainsi, c'est cette herbe qui est utilisée pour nourrir les troupeaux transcendantaux.
It's like we heard 2 days back on Diwali, huh? Maybe you didn't, but we did. How Mother Yasoda selected the best of all of the herd, of the cows in the herd, 100 of the best of those 900,000.
On a entendu le jour de Diwali comment Mère Yashoda avait sélectionné les meilleurs de ses vaches.
And fed them the sweetest, best grass in the whole of Braj.
Et elle leur donnait à manger la meilleure herbe de tout Braj.
So when the milk was coming out, it was like absolute sweet, creamy nectar.
Comme ça, quand le lait sortait, c'était vraiment comme le plus doux
With
nectar.
that, she would make the milk sweet.
Et avec ça, elle faisait toutes les préparations sucrées.
This is Govardhana. Provides this wonderful, sweet, soft grass.
Et Govardhana fournit cette herbe merveilleuse, tendre et parfumée.
Kandara refers to the caves where Krishna Balaram and their friends play, sit and lie down.
Khanda se réfère aux cavernes dans lesquelles Krishna, Balaram et leurs amis jouent, s'assoient et s'allongent.
These caves give pleasure when the weather is too hot or too cold, or when it is raining.
Et ces cavernes fournissent toutes sortes de plaisirs lorsqu'il fait trop chaud, ou qu'il fait trop froid, ou lorsqu'il pleut.
Govardhana also features soft roots for eating, jewels for ornamenting the body, flat places for sitting, and lamps and mirrors in the form of smooth stones, glistening water, and other natural substances.
Sur Govardhana, on trouve également des tendres racines à manger, des bijoux pour se décorer, des lieux plats pour s'asseoir, des lampes et des miroirs sous la forme de pierres douces et de l'eau qui scintille ainsi que d'autres substances naturelles.
So these are just some, you could say, verses glorifying Govardhana Hill.
Et quelques versets qui glorifient la colline Govardhana.
The day's pastime particularly refers to the Anakut ceremony and the circumambulation of Govardhana.
Mais le divertissement d'aujourd'hui se réfère particulièrement à la cérémonie d'Anakuta et au fait de tourner autour de la colline.
But actually this festival spans over about 11 days.
C'est un festival qui normalement s'étend sur 11 jours.
Today is the Anakut.
Aujourd'hui c'est la Nukut.
Tomorrow Indra gets ready for attack.
Demain, en fait, Indra se prépare pour attaquer.
And then for 7 days the rains are crashing down, the storms.
Ensuite, pendant 7 jours, il y a la tempête et les pluies torrentielles.
And then the next day everything goes back to normal again.
Le jour suivant, tout redevient normal.
And the next day Indra comes to Vrindavan.
Et le jour suivant, Indra
free from the Maharaja, you can say.
descend à Vrindavan pour se libérer de sa grande offense.
So in one sense it's an 11-day festival.
Dans un sens, c'est un festival qui dure 11 jours.
But we generally only celebrate it all on one day.
On célèbre généralement tout ça en une journée.
Anyway, we'll cover what we can. The appearance of Govardhana in this universe.
On va essayer de parler de l'apparition de Govardhana dans cet univers.
Is one of the conditions for Radharani's appearance.
C'était une des conditions de l'apparition de Shrimati Radharani en ce moment.
Sure, Govardhana will be there, Yamuna will be there, and so on.
On voulait être sûr que la Yamuna serait là, Govardhana serait là.
So Govardhana is there are many, you could say, angles of vision, but very famous pastime of Govardhana's appearance in Vrindavan.
Il y a différents points de vue, bien sûr, mais il y a un fameux divertissement de l'apparition de Govardhana Vrindavan.
At one time, the great Muni named Pulastya Muni, he was traveling around the Himalayas on the western side. He's a mystic, he could fly in the sky.
Pulatya Muni, ce grand sage qui a des pouvoirs mystiques, voyageait un jour à l'ouest au-dessus des
I
Himalayas.
always dream of that, fly in the sky and, see all the various scenes and so on.
On rêve de ça parfois, de voler la nuit et de pouvoir survoler les
Even
différents.
last night I had a dream of flying in the sky.
J'ai rêvé de ça la nuit dernière, que je volais dans le ciel.
So he's flying around and he sees this incredible, beautiful mountain.
Il est en train de voler ce Pulatya Muni et il voit cette incroyable montagne.
He comes down.
Il descend.
This mountain, now again another inconceivable feature, probably not accepted by people in general, is that mountains are alive.
Un autre aspect qui est certainement pas accepté par les gens en général, c'est que les montagnes sont des
They also can give birth.
Ils peuvent donner naissance.
So there's one mountain named Dronachal, and he had a son, and his son was actually Govardhana, his name Govardhana.
Et donc il y avait cette montagne Dronachal et il a eu un fils qui s'appelait Govardhana.
When the sage came, Dronachal was very happy to see Pulastya Muni.
Et lorsque Dronachal a vu arriver Pulatya Muni, il était très heureux.
And he said to Pulastya, "How can I serve you?"
Et il a dit au sage, comment je peux te servir?
And Pulastya Muni had, he was living in Kashi, and it's pretty flat if you've ever been to Varanasi or Kashi. it's pretty flat. So he was thinking, wow, how wonderful it would be if I could bring this mountain to Kashi and do my meditation there. Such a beautiful mountain I've just seen.
Et Pulatsyamuni, qui vivait à Kashi, qui est un endroit très plat, il a pensé, ça serait tellement merveilleux que je puisse emmener cette montagne là-bas et puis que je puisse m'asseoir pour faire ma méditation.
Please give me your son, Govardhana.
S'il te plaît, donne-moi ton fils, Govardhana.
Of course, this was a devastating blow to Dronachala.
Ce fut un coup dévastateur porté à Dronachala.
Oh, no. He started to cry.
Il a commencé à pleurer.
How can he live without his son?
Comment pouvait-il vivre sans son fils?
But what did he do? Govardhana agreed on one condition.
Govardhana était d'accord à une condition.
He said, condition is, okay, I'm agreeable to come with you, but wherever you put me down, I will not move from there.
Je suis d'accord, je viendrai avec toi, mais si tu me poses quelque part, je ne bougerai plus.
So, okay, it was agreed. Pulasya then took Govardhana, who of course, by his will, allowed himself to be carried by Pulasya Muni on his hand, and Pulasya then took off into the air, carrying Govardhana towards Kashi.
Donc Govardhana, par son propre bon vouloir, s'est laissé porter par Pulasya et qui l'a emmené pour Kashi.
Govardhana had a plan.
Govardhana avait un plan.
Plan, obvious. So he made an arrangement that somehow or another, suddenly, the sage flying through the sky had an absolutely unavoidable call of nature.
Et par l'arrangement de Govardhana, à un moment donné, le sage s'est
What to
retrouvé
do?
avec un besoin naturel impossible à ne pas satisfaire.
He had to go down to earth to
Fallait-
fulfill the urge.
Il fallait qu'il descende absolument pour satisfaire ses besoins.
Miss Krishna covered him, so he didn't kind of catch on what was happening here.
Krishna a couvert son intelligence.
So he had to place the mountain on the ground.
Il a posé donc la colline sur le sol.
To, whatever, fulfill his urge.
Il est allé passer.
And he came back thinking, okay, come on, let's go.
Il est revenu, ok, on y va, on repart.
Go down, wouldn't move an inch.
Mais Govardhana ne bougeait
Wouldn't
pas.
move from the ground.
Il était sur le sol.
Pulasya became furious. He tried with all of his power, mystic powers, to move, but Govardhana wouldn't move an inch.
Il a essayé toutes ses forces, mais Govardhana ne bougeait pas d'un pouce.
Govardhana was in Braj. He come down in Braj.
Elle était descendue, elle était à Braj.
Unmanifested maybe at the time. That's what he said.
Peut-être avant, elle était là, non manifestée.
And the sage cursed Govardhana.
Alors le sage a maudit
I
Govardhana.
curse you to shrink.
Je te maudis de t'enfoncer chaque jour
Every day by the size of a mustard seed.
de la taille d'une graine de moutarde.
We're not going to get into measurements here that not possible, but gradually Govardhana appears to external vision to be shrinking.
À notre vision externe, le Govardhana semble s'enfoncer.
So that's how he appeared, and of course when Krishna appeared in this world along with his associates 5,000 or so years ago, first he sends his devotees, or he makes arrangements before coming.
Quand Krishna apparaît, il y a plus de 5000 ans, et il s'arrange pour que ses dévots descendent avant lui.
Yamuna, Govardhana, so many associates were already there waiting for his appearance.
Yamuna, Govardhana, tellement de compagnons étaient déjà là.
And on this particular day, of course, when we honor Govardhana Puja, we perform the worship of Govardhana Hill.
Ce jour, on adore la colline Govardhana.
This is where Krishna makes it clear to one and all that Govardhana is indeed the king of all mountains.
C'est le jour où Krishna fait savoir à tout le monde sans aucun doute que Govardhana, c'est le roi de tous
really
les montagnes.
Govardhana, one who provides for the cows, for the senses, everything.
Celui qui fournit tous les besoins pour les vaches, pour les sens.
Shelter for everyone.
Refuge pour tous.
We're we have a little time, but we'll cut the story a little short. How after Krishna had, let's say, rewarded the wives of the Brahmins, past time there when Krishna and the cowherd boys were hungry and they appealed to the Brahmins for some foodstuffs, but eventually the Brahmins did give, but the wives did. So past time is just finished.
Donc ce divertissement où Krishna était venu mendier aux brahmanas qui avaient refusé de leur donner de la nourriture et où leurs épouses avaient donné, elles avaient été récompensées par Krishna, ce divertissement venait juste de se terminer.
And it was nearby there that Nanda Maharaj and the cowherd men, residents of Vrindavan, would perform the annual Indra Puja.
Et c'est à cette période que les habitants de Vrindavan, Nanda Maharaj et les autres papes accomplissaient le sacrifice à l'adoration à
It so happened that that was the time when this puja happened to take place.
C'était juste au moment où ce puja allait avoir lieu.
So, when Krishna saw that his father and the other cowherd men were about to prepare a great yajna, he asked, what is it?
Quand Krishna a vu que son père et les autres patres allaient faire ce yajna, il a dit qu'est-ce qui se passe?
Krishna was a 7-year-old at that time, 7-year-old.
Krishna à l'époque n'avait que 7 ans.
And his father thought, well, little boy, how will he understand this? This is a ceremony.
Et son père a pensé, ce petit enfant, qu'est-ce qu'il va comprendre de cette cérémonie?
But Krishna kept pushing him. No, secrets should not be kept amongst family members. Please tell me what is going on here.
Et Krishna, il a insisté, il ne doit pas y avoir de secret dans la famille, dis-moi ce qui se passe.
So, as is the case in, you can say, all the pastimes, really, Krishna had many purposes to fulfill.
Donc, comme dans les divertissements généraux, Krishna remplit différents buts.
It was, in one sense, this whole pastime is a manifestation of Krishna's little anger. It's arranged by the Lord, but it appears to be an angry way in a sense, because he wasn't happy that, his devotees are performing some worship to some country demigod.
Donc dans ce divertissement, ça manifeste le mécontentement de Krishna. Il ne voulait pas que ses dévots adorent un déva.
Demigod worship is a very common thing, and if you read the Bhagavad Gita, how Krishna says this, fool persons whose intelligence, who have small knowledge of the truth, may worship the demigods.
C'est l'adoration des dévas, elle est vraiment importante dans la Bhagavad Gita. Krishna en parle en disant que les gens peu intelligents, ils adorent les dévas.
My dearmost devotees, why are they worshipping this Indra?
Alors c'est pourquoi mes chers dévots, ils adorent cet Indra.
Maharaj explained, we have to show our respect. I mean, he's providing the rain.
Janananda Maharaj dit, on doit lui montrer notre respect, il nous donne la pluie.
Without the rain, there will be no grain.
Sans pluie, pas de céréales.
Nothing to eat.
Rien à manger.
The cows, the grass won't grow.
Les vaches ne pourraient pas grandir.
We have to show our respect.
On doit montrer notre respect.
Started to argue, basically, more or less, atheist philosophy.
Alors Krishna, il a commencé à argumenter avec une philosophie presque athée. Karma mimamsa.
But everything depends on karma.
Tout dépend du karma.
Yeah, it's a little bit more than atheism. It does accept the nature of the living entity, but there's nothing to do with a God who is in control or demigods who are independently acting or anything.
C'est une philosophie où on comprend certaines règles de la nature, mais il n'y a pas question de Dieu ou de Deva qui donne quelque chose.
Karma alone is sufficient. They have to reward us according to our work.
Le karma, ça suffit. On doit être récompensé selon notre travail. Ça ne dépend pas des débats.
If you do good work, they'll give you a good result.
Ils sont obligés, si vous faites des bonnes actions, ils sont obligés de vous donner des bons résultats.
If you're a naughty boy, you get punished.
Si vous êtes mauvais garçon, vous êtes
What
puni.
have they got? What's Indra got to do with it?
Qu'est-ce qu'Indra il a à voir avec ça?
And even if there is some God, so what? He pours the water on the ocean as well as the land.
Et même s'il y a un Dieu comme ça qui verse de l'eau, il verse aussi de l'eau sur l'océan.
No, it's all to do with karma.
Ça a tout à faire avec juste le karma.
No, Now, if you want to perform some kind of sacrifice or some kind of offering, then we have to look really, who is our sustainer?
Mais si tu veux vraiment faire une offrande, on doit vraiment se demander qui nous maintient.
Because of the Brahmins, they're performing yajnas, therefore we get all kinds of good results.
Les brahmanas, parce qu'ils font les yagas, on obtient toutes sortes de bons résultats.
And their wealth. Now, the Maharaja was a Vaishya, he was protecting cows, so go Raksha. He was protecting cows.
Et lui, Nanda Maharaj était un Vaishya, donc il protégeait les vaches.
So the cows are sustaining us, the Brahmins are causing good reactions.
Les vaches nous maintiennent et c'est grâce au brahmana qu'on a des
And
bons
Govardhana
résultats.
is providing everything we need.
Et la colline de Govardhana nous fournit tous nos besoins.
We should worship Govardhana.
C'est elle qu'on devrait adorer,
And the Brahmins and cows.
ainsi que les brahmanas et les vaches.
Krishna, of course. In one sense, you could say, bewildered everyone. He convinced them all, okay, we'll perform a which we so desire, we'll do a worship of Govardhana. But first, let us do this Indra Puja.
Krishna il a fini par leur prendre la tête, les convaincre, et donc ils ont dit d'accord, on va faire ce Govardhana Puja, mais d'abord on va adorer Indra.
Krishna used a few more arguments.
Krishna utilisait un peu plus d'arguments.
There's no need of these demigods. Everything depends upon your nature.
Il n'y a pas besoin des devas.
The modes of the material world are really in control and they're responding to your activities.
C'est les trois gunas qui répondent selon
Even
tes
the
actes.
Supreme Lord is a dependent aspect of karma. He just, as they surrender unto me, I reward them, so to speak.
Le Seigneur suprême dépend même du karma et dit récompense selon ce qu'on fait.
He's under the control of karma.
Il est en fait sous le contrôle du karma.
And thus, one's occupational duties, this is one's worshipable deity.
Et en fait, c'est ce qu'on devrait adorer, c'est nos devoirs.
There's a famous movement, and they say, work is God.
Il y a un mouvement connu qui dit le travail, c'est Dieu.
They don't believe in a personal God. That your work, your performance, that's what counts. Everything depends on that.
Ils disent que tout ce qui compte, il n'y a pas de Dieu, tout ce qui compte, c'est votre activité, votre
And
travail.
laws of nature just reciprocate it.
Et que les gunas, ils réciproquent avec ça.
That was Krishna's argument. It came from him.
C'était un argument qui est venu
Brahma
de Krishna.
and So they eventually, Krishna then said, but we haven't got time, Father, we haven't got time to prepare the necessary paraphernalia for worshipping Govardhana. It's a huge event.
Et Krishna dit, mais on n'a pas le temps de rassembler tout ce qu'il faut pour adorer la
You
colline
have to
de
use
Govardhana.
all this paraphernalia that you have arranged here for Indra.
Tu dois utiliser tout ce que tu as préparé là pour Indra.
It was very convincing.
C'est très convaincant.
Krishna, no one can convince anyone like Krishna. So eventually they were convinced.
Donc ils ont été convaincus.
All right, tell us, what do we do?
Alors que devons-nous faire?
We took all this paraphernalia, and then the Brahmins, they started to perform sacrifices, worship of the cows, worship of the Govardhana hill, everything began.
Alors ils ont commencé à utiliser tout ce qu'il y avait là pour adorer. Les brahmanas ont commencé les yagas, ils ont adoré les vaches, la colline.
Dressed in their best, all decorated the cows beautifully with silk and silver and gold, everything was beautifully decorated.
Tout le monde avait porté ses meilleurs vêtements et les vaches étaient décorées avec de la soie, de l'or, de l'argent.
Then Krishna said we have to offer huge amounts of foodstuffs to Govardhana.
Krishna a dit qu'il faut offrir des quantités énormes de nourriture à Govardhana.
Mountains of food came from all directions.
De toutes directions sont venues
Just a
des
few little
montagnes.
pots. There were lakes of dal, lakes of sweet rice, lakes.
Il y avait des lacs de dalles, des lacs.
Mountains appeared around Govardhana, stacks of rice, like mountains.
Il y avait des montagnes de riz,
Huge vessels full up with all kinds of subsies.
des pots gigantesques remplis de surgis.
Sweets and savours everywhere.
Il y avait des
The
suites.
whole area was just covered in foodstuff to offer to Govardhana.
Toute la région était couverte de nourriture.
Stacks of, you could hardly see the top of the chapati stacks, etc.
C'est difficile de voir le sommet des montagnes de Chapati.
Unlimited preparations were prepared, and they were bringing from all around. Where from? Nobody knew. They were just coming. Unlimited preparations were coming.
Et des préparations illimitées, des quantités illimitées venaient de toutes
And all
parts.
the rich bastards all there in front of Govardhana offering this food stuff.
Tous les Brijbasis se tenaient devant Govardhana,
All
faisaient leur
of a
offrande.
sudden, Govardhana Hill suddenly manifested a huge form of Giriraj.
Et d'un seul coup, la colline Govardhana a manifesté
Supreme
cette énorme
Personality of God is manifest on top of the hill.
Dieu, la personne suprême, s'est manifesté en haut de la
Huge
colline,
form.
une forme gigantesque.
And just whipping up all of his sham like devoted sometimes. Just stuffing it into his mouth like this.
Commencer à
Bring me
engouffrer,
more.
à engouffrer la nourriture de
Any
sa
more. Bring me more.
Apportez-moi
The
plus.
village there now
Encore.
is known as Anior.
Un village là-bas qui
That
s'appelle
place for the Anakut. It's got Anakut where they offer the rice and the offering is there at the foot of the hill.
Donc ils offrent au pied de cette colline
Mountains of rice.
une montagne de riz.
And Giriraj is just eating it. Everyone, even Krishna, bowed down to his own form,
Même Krishna fait ses hommages à sa propre forme,
realizing that this is actually Govardhana is himself, the Supreme Lord.
en disant qu'il est Dieu lui-même de ce Giriraj.
And he's just eating everything. Now they're bringing more, bring me more, they're bringing more and more and more, but still, he was just consuming everything.
Ils amenaient plus et plus, mais ils consommaient tout.
And sometimes it's stated in the Shastras that every offering has to be accompanied with a Tatsili.
On dit toujours que toute offrande doit être accomplie avec une feuille de tulasi.
So eventually it seemed like there was no way they could fulfill or satisfy his appetite.
Mais il semblait qu'il ne pouvait pas satisfaire son appétit.
Then Balaram, of course, comes along. He brings along a tulsi leaf and offers it.
Et Balaram vient, il offre une feuille de tulasi,
And Giriraj is satisfied.
et alors Giriraj est satisfait.
And unmanifested.
Et il disparaît.
And then Krishna said, now we have to feed all the cows and all the Brahmins, and everybody has to be fed.
Maintenant, Krishna dit, on doit nourrir les brahmines, les vaches, tout le monde,
The dogs, the cats, everyone has to be fed.
les chiens, les chats, tout le monde.
Unlimited prashadam. Govardhana Puja means unlimited prashadam.
Govardhana Puja veut dire des quantités illimitées de prasad.
It's a festival. If you ever been in Vrindavan, they've kind of modified it now. It's a little bit more civilized. Dinabandhu Prabhu has been calmed down.
Donc, c'est pour ceux qui étaient à Vrindavan, maintenant ils se sont un peu calmés, c'est plus
But
civilisé.
in the old days, it was really a festival and a half.
C'était vraiment un festival.
It's a festival now, but it was a festival and a half.
Festival and a half.
Yeah, more than a festival.
C'était plus qu'un
Went
festival.
overboard.
C'était plus qu'un festival à l'époque.
And then, after circumambulating Govardhana Hill,
Après avoir tourné autour de la colonne de Govardhana,
it would be like a rugby scrum, if you know what that is.
c'était comme une mêlée de
Everyone
rugby.
just on to Govardhana, and there'd be prashada going in every direction.
Le prasad volait dans toutes les
Or
directions.
even on the floor, you'd be slipping over,
Et vous glissez sur du
wild, it was completely wild. It's really controlled now, more civilized.
Maintenant, c'est plus
You can
civilisé.
appreciate that. But anyway, after this great Hanukut ceremony, and everyone's been fed prashadam, then it's time for Parikrama around the hill.
Mais après donc cette cérémonie d'Anakuta et tout le monde a
Then
eu
they
du
all go
prasad,
on the
c'est le
Parikrama.
moment de tourner autour de Govardhana.
Everybody, cows in front, and then bullock carts with the ladies and so on, and they're all dancing and singing around Govardhana Hill. So let's dance and sing around Govardhana.
Les veaux et les vaches devant, les chars à bœufs avec toutes les femmes et tout le monde chante et danse autour de la colline.
So we're going to sing this famous song from Gopal Champu,
On va chanter ce chant
Goswami.
de Jiva Goswami.
I'd like to have someone press buttons if you can during this, or like last time, stop playing it. Have you got a chance to press the button at the right time? Yes, Gopal Champu deals with a lot of this, let's say details of this pastime.
Dans le Gopal Champu, il y a beaucoup de détails sur ce divertissement.
Giri Puja. So play harmony if you can. Whatever else you can. I don't know if it's 3 beat, 2 beat or something in between, but you And let's see. How should we do it? You sing Giri Pujayam Dita Kena. It's a little difficult otherwise. I'll sing the answer. It means literally, who performed the worship of Govardhana?
Ça signifie qui a accompli, cette ligne signifie qui accomplit l'adoration de Govardhana.
You're going to sing this, I'll sing it with you. Giri Pujayam Dita Kena, Giri Pujayam Dita Kena, Archi Sakkapadamapayam Yena, Archi Sakkapadamapayam Yena. Giri Pujayam, Giri Pujayam, Giri Pujayam, Giri Pujayam, Giri Pujayam. Giri Pujayam, Giri Pujayam, Giri Pujayam, Giri Pujayam. Arati Sakkapadamapayam Yena, Arati Sakkapadamapayam Yena. We perform the worship of Govardhana Hill, he who fiercely usurps Indian position. Giri Pujayam, Giri Pujayam, Giri Pujayam, Giri Pujayam, Ganikata Dihattayena, Pujanikata Dihattayena. We perform the worship of Govardhana Hill, he who killed Giri Pujayam, Giri Pujayam, Giri Pujayam, Giri Pujayam. Dinavatatanu Galanam Yena, Dinavatatanu Galanam Yena. We perform the worship of Govardhana Hill, he who crushed the Dinavata demon. Giri Pujayam, Giri Pujayam, Giri Pujayam, Giri Pujayam. Yamalajuna Taramukha Kaliyena, Yamalajuna Taramukha Kaliyena. We perform the worship of Govardhana Hill, he who uprooted the Yamalajuna trees. Pujayam, Pujayam, Giri Pujayam, Giri Pujayam. Sapakasura Hanam Yena, Sapakasura Hanam Yena. We perform the worship of Govardhana Hill, he who destroyed Vatsasura, Vatsasura, Giri Pujayam, Giri Pujayam, Himakasura, Paramayena. Yomagasura, Maranayena, Yomagasura, Maranayena. Perform the worship of Govardhana Hill, he who bore guest of Yomasura, Anagasura. Giri Pujayam, Giri Pujayam, Giri Pujayam, Giri Pujayam. Kaliyadamanam Kalikam Yena, Kaliyadamanam Kalikam Yena. Perform the worship of Govardhana Hill, he who chastised the Kaliya serpent. Giri Pujayam, Giri Pujayam, Giri Pujayam, Giri Pujayam. Maradam Karapalam Pakasam Manamena, Karapalam Manamena. Perform the worship of Govardhana Hill, he who suppressed the wicked Palamba. Giri Pujayam, Giri Pujayam, Giri Pujayam, Giri Pujayam. Davayotmam Paritam Yena, Davayotmam Paritam Yena. We perform the worship of Govardhana Hill, he who swallowed the two forest fires. Giri Pujayam, Giri Pujayam, Giri Pujayam, Giri Pujayam. Tasati Kamsat Satatam Yena, Tasati Kamsat Satatam Yena, Tasati Kamsat Satatam Yena, Tasati Kamsat Satatam Yena. Perform the worship Nilagai. Nilagai.
Ici, on voit des nilagai.
You've seen them? Have you all seen Nilagai?
Est-ce que vous en avez vu à Govardhana?
They're not so common now. They're very rare.
Ils sont très rares de nos jours.
Used to see them quite a lot in years gone by. When it was all forest and jungles, you know, they were very regularly seen. Very, very rare nowadays. They're like, what would you say? They're half horse, half cow.
Avant, elles étaient beaucoup plus nombreuses à Govardhana. Maintenant, on en voit beaucoup
They're
moins.
kind of a grey-blue color.
C'est un mélange entre un cheval et une vache.
Blue cows.
On les appelle des vaches bleues.
They're not really blue, but they're bluish, they're kind of a grey-blue. And they used to be loads of them around Govardhana Hill. They're not famous everywhere in India, but they're around that area.
Il n'y en a pas beaucoup en Inde, mais il y en a beaucoup dans cette région.
Well, I don't know, time is going on. We just quickly finish off the past time, we can never finish it. We'll quickly summarize the last part.
On va résumer rapidement la dernière partie du divertissement.
So Indra was, when he got to hear about this, Narada Muni is an expert. We don't need WhatsApp and social media. Narada Muni is much more expert than any of them.
Donc Narada Muni est venu prévenir Indra beaucoup plus.
Realizing that his puja had been stopped,
Quand Indra a réalisé que son adoration avait
Indra
été
became enraged. Who does this puffed up cowboy think he is?
qui est ce petit pape orgueilleux?
And these stupid residents of Vrindavan, brainless, listening to a puffed up boy. Don't they know who I am?
Ces stupides habitants de Vrindavan qui écoutent ce petit garçon.
They have to be taught a lesson for once and for all.
On va devoir leur donner une leçon.
Sambantaka, come here immediately.
Viens, Sampartaka.
Bring all your other clouds with you, quickly.
Amène avec toi tous tes autres nuages.
All the wind gods, come here, Vayu, bring all your wind gods with you.
Et amène les dieux du vent, là, rapidement, Vayu, tous les autres.
We have a very important business to do.
C'est vraiment quelque chose d'important à faire.
The Hare Krishnas are not worshipping us.
Et Hare Krishna ne s'adaptent pas.
They have to be punished.
Faut les punir.
Punish them!
Punissez-les.
They We are going to go to Vrindavan, and we're going to devastate Vrindavan.
On va descendre à Vrindavan et tout dévaster.
Ooh, some of the gods, the wind gods, and Samantaka was a little bit scared. They were, oh, something's not right here. It's not just a puffed up boy. Be careful.
Quelques-uns des demi-dieux du vent, des Sampartaka ont commencé un peu à trembler, à se demander. C'est risqué.
Don't worry, I will be with you.
Ne vous inquiétez pas, je vais.
Let us go.
On y va.
So off they went.
Et ils sont partis.
The clouds of devastation, black as ink, full of billions of tons of powerful rain and thunderbolts into thunderbolts, hailstones, lightning, heading off like an army, universal army going towards Vrindavan.
Comme une armée universelle, ces nuages noirs comme de l'encre sont descendus chargés de pluie et d'éclairs.
Winds coming from the north, icy cold winds started to blow around Vraj.
Des vents glacés venant du nord ont commencé à souffler sur
Everyone
Vrindavan.
was taking shelter behind ridges and trees. The winds were going ooh, like this. They were finding their way around all the corners to just harass everything that existed.
Et même si tout le monde essayait de se protéger derrière des arbres,
The
derrière des
whole
ponts,
sky became black.
tout est devenu
The
noir.
sun was completely, no sunlight at all practically.
Il n'y a pratiquement plus de soleil.
The rain started coming down like never heard of.
La pluie a
Columns of
commencé,
rain crashing down.
des tonnes de pluie.
Thunderbolts crashing, smashing and crashing to the ground.
La foudre s'écrasant sur le sol.
Lightning everywhere. Hail, wind, rain, devastating.
La grêle, la pluie.
Of course, Krishna's Yoga Maya was protecting all the devotees, but all around this was going on.
Bien sûr, la Yoga Maya de Krishna protégeait les dévots.
And they're trying to take shelter from this rain,
Qu'est-ce qu'on va faire?
storms, and hail, and
Comment se
wind.
protéger de cette grêle, cette
And
tempête?
Krishna, save us!
Krishna, sauve-nous.
It was his fault, we could say.
C'était sa faute après tout.
They're all crying to Krishna, save us!
Krishna sauve-nous.
Krishna, of course, knew everything. Now Indra's wonderful pastime about to unfold.
Krishna savait ce divertissement extraordinaire allait se
Many
passer.
reasons, as we mentioned earlier. Not just to cut down Indra's pride.
C'était pas simplement pour rabaisser l'orgueil d'Indra.
Not just to teach that demigod worship is not going to satisfy, not our business.
C'est aussi pour enseigner qu'on n'a pas besoin d'adorer les dévas.
But to fulfill the desires of the residents of Raj,
Mais c'était surtout pour satisfaire les habitants de
and
Vraj,
to show how we can get true protection,
de leur montrer comment ils peuvent obtenir une
to
véritable
fulfill
protection
Govardhana's desire,
et satisfaire les désirs de Govardhana,
to perform this magnificent pastime which is celebrated today all over in so many places.
et accomplir son divertissement tellement miséricordieux qui est maintenant célébré en
In
tellement
our
de
heart there's a mountain of sin. It's described in Bhagavatam. It's like a mountain of sin in our heart.
Le Bhagavatam décrit que dans notre cœur, il y a comme une montagne de péché.
And by honoring this Govardhana Puja festival,
Et en
that
honorant
mountain can be smashed.
cette colline Govardhana, aujourd'hui, cette montagne peut être
We
brisée.
take shelter of the mountain of Govardhana and the mountain of sin can be removed.
Si on prend refuge de la colline de Govardhana, cette montagne de péché peut
It
être
says that
dissipée.
there are many snakes on Govardhana Hill.
Il y a de nombreux serpents sur la colline
And
de
those who
Govardhana.
don't perform this Govardhana Puja, or honor it when it's there, will get bitten by the snakes on Govardhana Hill.
Et ceux qui n'adorent pas ce jour de Govardhana Puja seront mordus par ces serpents.
Maybe a transcendental bite.
Peut-être c'est des
Have you ever seen snakes on
spirituels.
Govardhana? In the old days, I remember one time, I say old days, maybe 30 years ago, when it was all jungle. I remember you'd see snakes when you do Kirtan.
Il y a 30 ans, on voyait des serpents.
And I've never seen a snake like a multicolored snake. I've never seen in my life.
Je n'ai jamais vu ça, un
Big
serpent
fat
multicolore,
Right on the path.
juste sur le chemin en face de nous.
So many things you don't see now with our mundane eyes, but they are there. So the residents then were what to do. Krishna then, by his Yogamaya potency, protected all the devotees and said, "Come with me."
Krishna, par sa Yogamaya, protégé
And
tous
they all
ses
headed
dévots.
off to Govardhana.
Et ils se sont tous dirigés vers Govardhana.
And Govardhana Hill has been waiting for this opportunity to serve Krishna in this way.
Colline Govardhana attendait de pouvoir servir Krishna de cette façon.
If we go back to Ram Leela, many millions of years before, Govardhana was there already.
Déjà du temps de Ramachandra, il y a des millions d'années, la colline Govardhana était là.
And when Hanuman came to take mountains to build bridges across to Lanka, he was about to pick up Govardhana. Just at that moment, he was about to pick up Govardhana to take Govardhana to Lanka.
Et quand Hanuman ramassait toutes ces pierres, il était prêt de ramasser la colline
And
Govardhana.
the voice
pour l'emmener à
came from the
Lanka.
sky. The bridge is completed! No more mountains are required.
Et à ce moment-là, il y a une voix du ciel qui dit le pont il est fini, il n'y a plus besoin de
Govardhana
pierres.
began to cry.
Alors Hanuman Govardhana a commencé à pleurer.
Oh no, my Lord, I was able to serve and now I can't.
Je voulais te servir, maintenant je ne peux plus. On
The
s'est
Lord
dit.
spoke and king, don't worry, in my next appearance you will be able to serve me just like me."
Alors le Seigneur a dit dans cette voix, ne t'inquiète pas, dans ma prochaine apparition,
So
tu pourras me
Govardhana very
servir de
happily,
ton cœur.
very happily, Krishna said he just floated on his feet.
Et donc il a flotté
It wasn't like,
sur le petit doigt de Krishna,
if he had 100 kilos, he would crush to the ground and
avec 100 kilos sur les
trillions
mains,
and billions of tons by mundane.
il s'écraserait.
Just floating on Krishna's little finger or palm or whatever.
Cette colline flottait sur le petit
Happily
doigt de
floating,
Krishna.
providing all facilities for us. And outside, rain, the storm is carrying on for 7 days without stopping day and night.
Et la tempête à l'extérieur a continué pendant 7 jours et 7 nuits non-stop.
And Krishna expanded again, sometimes he said Sudarshan, sometimes his own personal direct expansion, drying up all the water around Govardhana.
Et Krishna a manifesté une expansion, il y en a qui disent le Sudarshan
Not
Chakra.
a drop of water came under
Tout
the hill.
autour de Govardhana, il n'y a pas une goutte d'eau qui est rentrée.
And even all the pigs, hogs, yeah, there were hogs,
Même les
hogs and
porcs,
all the other creatures, deers and everything, they were happily on Govardhana Hill above the clouds.
et
They
les
were
porcs et les
totally
autres
happy.
animaux étaient
Govardhana rose
Ils étaient au-dessus de Govardhana, ils étaient très heureux.
Everyone was having a festival.
Et tous c'était un festival.
Except for Indra.
Sauf pour Indra.
He thought he was going to have a festival, but he was quite the opposite. He was having a total frustration.
Il était complètement frustré.
He called the gods of the rain. What's going on down there? Is it finished? Are they all drowned? I think so. We can't see them anymore.
Il a rappelé
Double check.
tous ces vents, ces pluies.
It looks like they're
Ils sont
not.
tous morts.
Looks like they're all protected down there.
Allez voir. Ah bah non, mais on dirait qu'ils sont tous
Winds. What's happening?
Qu'est-ce qui se passe?
Hailstones. Lightning.
Oh ma foudre. Oh.
Thunderbolts.
Mais qu'est-ce qui se passe?
We failed.
On a échoué.
Completely failed.
Complètement échoué.
Nothing. Our efforts have been all to no avail.
On n'a rien pu faire malgré tous nos efforts.
And we're completely exhausted.
Et on est épuisé.
He withdrew all of his clouds, storms, everything.
Alors il a rappelé tous ces vents, toutes ces tempêtes.
Everything went calm and quiet.
Tout est devenu de nouveau calme.
And then Krishna said, okay, we checked it out. Everyone can now go back. And life went back to normal.
Krishna il a vérifié, il a dit c'est bon, maintenant vous pouvez tous ressortir et la vie est redevenue
Krishna
normale.
placed it all back down on its normal ground.
Krishna a reposé Govardhana sur le sol.
Everyone was in ecstasy, singing the glories of Krishna.
Tout le monde était en extase, chantant les gloires de Krishna.
And meanwhile in the heavens, Indra was completely morose.
Pendant que dans les cieux, Indra était morose.
He didn't know what to do.
Il ne savait plus quoi faire.
It dawned on him what a big mistake he'd made.
Il a réalisé l'erreur qu'il avait faite.
What an offense.
Quelle offense.
His guru Brihaspati came
Son guru Brihaspati est venu.
and he asked for advice.
Il lui a demandé conseil.
He said, well, I can't really do much for you, but maybe you can go to Lord Brahma. He also did something a bit, offensive towards Krishna's pastime. Maybe he can give you some advice.
Je ne peux pas faire grand chose pour toi, mais
You've
peut-être
offended the devotees.
tu peux aller voir Brahma parce qu'il a fait
He
quelque
also
chose.
offended them. Maybe he can help you.
Il a fait quelque chose comme ça, il a offensé les dévots comme tu l'as fait, et peut-être il peut t'aider, il peut faire quelque chose pour toi.
Indra, completely morose, went off to see Lord Brahma.
Complètement morose, Indra allait voir Brahma.
Please help me.
S'il te plaît, moi.
Brahma shook his head.
Brahma, il a
What to say?
bougé de sa tête, ses têtes.
Said, I may have stolen a few cows and cowboys.
Moi j'ai peut-être volé quelques veaux, quelques pas.
Certainly I performed Maharaja interfering with the pastime.
Moi j'ai certainement compris.
And you tried to kill them all.
Et toi tu as essayé de tous les tuer.
I think it's not the same.
Je pense que c'est pas la même chose.
You tried to smash the whole of Vrindavan and kill them all.
Tu as essayé de détruire tout Vrindavan, de tous
There's
les
nothing
tuer.
I can do.
Rien que je peux faire pour toi.
The only thing I can suggest
La seule chose que je peux suggérer,
is that the cows are the most dear to Krishna.
c'est que les vaches sont les plus chères à Krishna.
You go to see Suraj.
Tu vas voir Surabhi,
She may help.
elle peut t'aider.
So Indra went to see Brahma Suraj.
Alors là, il allait voir sur la planète des Surabhi.
He explained what had happened to
Il a dit à Surabhi ce qui s'était passé.
Suraj was very upset.
Surabhi, elle a été vraiment très dérangée.
Because Indra threatened his cattle.
Parce que Indra avait mis en danger ses vaches.
But she agreed to go, requested Lord Brahma.
Et elle fut d'accord sous l'ordre de Brahma.
It was also an opportunity for her to get Krishna's direct association.
C'était une opportunité pour avoir la
So together with
compagnie.
Indra they proceeded to Raj.
Alors elle est descendue avec Indra à Vraj.
And of course there they Krishna gave them the opportunity at what is now same area, not exactly the same place, but Govinda Kund.
Et donc il y a eu cette Krishna a donné cette possibilité à Indra de se faire pardonner au Govinda Kund.
And at that place Indra fell at Krishna's lotus feet and begged forgiveness.
Indra est tombé aux pieds de Krishna et a demandé pardon.
And by the grace of Surabhi, Krishna forgave him.
Par la grâce de Surabhi, Krishna lui a pardonné.
And a great puja was performed there.
Il y a eu un grand puja ensuite,
Govinda was now Govinda Kund.
ce qu'on appelle
Govinda Kund rather.
Govinda.
And that beautiful Kund formed by the Abhishek Krishna now known, Krishna was installed as Govinda.
Et donc ce lac qui a été formé par l'abhishek offert à Krishna, et Krishna a été appelé à ce moment-là Govinda, le seigneur des vaches,
the master of everything.
le maître de tout.
And Surabhi performed with her milk. She also performed in the Surabhi kundas. So all the various kundas around Vrindavan were formed. That's not Radhakunda or Shyamkunda, but all the other kundas, practically almost all the kundas were created at that time.
Et de nombreux kunds, presque tous, Radhakund et Shyamakund, ont été créés à ce moment-là par différentes personnalités qui ont fait leur abhishek à Krishna.
Different demigods were made in Krishna. Great festival. So today that festival is being honored all over ISKCON, all over the Vaishnava world, the Gaudiya Vaishnava world, particularly not just the Gaudiya Vaishnava, all Vaishnava.
Et donc ce festival est honoré aujourd'hui par tous les Vaishnavas.
Maybe some differences are there, but basically the same festival is going on.
Par différentes sortes de Vaishnavas, peut-être un peu différemment.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. Shri Giri Govardhana ki jai, Giriraj Maharaj ki jai, Govardhana Puja ki jai, Gaur Premanandi ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai. Uri Bol.
Janananda Goswami Maharaja ki
Cows have go down. There's a bull. Yes, there's a bull.
Would you like to lead Kirtan for Abhishek?
I was leading